Hey, what's up, everyone? Welcome to Let's Talk, where I mindlessly ramble about random topics that are impacting the culture, man. This is your friendly neighborhood Birdman, and today I wanted to talk about the Netflix series Lost in Space. So, a little bit of background here. I used to watch the original 1960s Lost in Space as a child, and my parents had some of the old VHS tapes, and I don't really remember much about them except for the very famous
Danger, Will Robinson! Danger! No, Will Robinson! Danger!
and the awesome theme song. But that was enough to get me hyped for the 1990s remake of Lost in Space, which I went to go see in the theater day one. Now, I know a ton of people have, taken their turns shitting on that film, but I found it to be really enjoyable as a teenager, and that is why I was so hyped about this Netflix show. So far, I've only watched the first 2 episodes, but I think I have a good enough grasp on the show to talk about it and give it a rating. This remake of Lost in Space stars Toby Stephens as John, Molly Parker as Maureen, Mina Sundwall as Penny, Maxwell Jenkins as Will, and what is sure to cause a bit of controversy, Taylor Russell as Judy. Together they make up the famous Robinson family, and boy are they not so happy. Immediately you figure out that this ain't the 60s anymore, and the show attempts to throw some very heavy-handed modernization at the viewer. For example, Maureen Robinson is no longer just the plant-loving matriarch that tends the gardens and is the voice of compassion, but a stern aerospace engineer and the mission captain, taking over John Robinson's original role from the 60s and 90s. Speaking of John, he's now a former US Marine, sort of combining characteristics of the original John Robinson and Major Don West. It's hinted that the couple is going through or have gone through a divorce through a series of flashbacks interspersed throughout the episodes. The biggest changes, though, are to the children. Judy and Penny are now geniuses in their own right, rivaling child prodigy Will, and while Will still remains perhaps the most intelligent of the three, the girls are still very capable of solving problems that arise. I want to make a special mention of the actor that plays Will, though. I assumed he'd be a whiny little brat, and that they would harp on his intelligence to a nauseating degree, but I was pleasantly surprised. There's a surprising amount of depth to Will, and he's not such an in-your-face, smart alecky kid like his sisters are. He's scared and he's unsure of himself, and he's like an onion. He has layers, man. Maxwell Jenkins has done a great job so far, and they've treated the character with a ton of respect. Now, I know everyone is waiting for me to talk about Robot, so I'll make you wait a little bit longer while I talk about the marital problems of the parents. I don't want to go too much into spoilery territory here, but I will say that Robot has some depth to him as well, and we're not quite sure what his motivations are. One thing is for sure though, and that is Robot takes a liking to Will Robinson and makes sure to protect him at all costs, just like every other iteration of these characters. Robot looks much more like a man in the suit than in the past, and that's unfortunate because with today's technology, they could have done a much better job with the CGI and his design. His arms are way too long relative to his body. He looks seriously clumsy when not in battle mode. However, I absolutely love the mechanical voice they gave him when he utters his famous line.
Danger, Will Robinson.
The show so far is pretty fun. There are a ton of things that happen to the Robinsons, literally in the first episode. The show is basically a series of unfortunate events 2058. I mean, shit gets thick real quick, and you're not really given a chance to breathe. The first episode should have really been titled Murphy's Law, and it's kind of unrealistic in a way because how much shit can go wrong really? Or is it just me? On the plus side, the actor that plays Will is really freaking good, and gives the character more depth than I anticipated. The production values are top notch as to be expected of Netflix, minus Bright, And the show has you on the edge of your seat waiting for what happens next. On the other hand, the very forced family drama is kind of unneeded. Robot's design looked like they took the first concept sketch and ran with it, and the modernization sort of distracts from what the show is trying to accomplish, and that's telling a compelling and coherent story. Overall, I think the show has been super solid, and I'm really looking forward to the misadventures of the Robinsons. A B. As always, thank you guys so much for watching. Be sure to catch my Everything Wrong with CinemaSins series. New videos in that series every Monday or so, maybe sometimes Tuesdays. But we're nearly at 200 subscribers. Can you believe that? Because I cannot. I'm super stoked about that. 200 people watching this nonsense that I create. It's just, wow. You guys have made this past year awesome. And I really, really cannot wait to see what the next 12 months have in store for this channel. But until the next time, mi familia, it's been your friendly neighborhood Birdman, and I'll catch you on the next episode of Let's Talk.